Hey to all my big sisters and little sisters out there, it's your girl Maya Simone, and I am back with another video today. We coming back with part 2 of my testimony for snake year. And before we get started, okay, I would like to give you all a full-fledged trigger warning, okay? This video contains discussion of sudden death, grief, emergency response, substance relapse. If it's not a good time for you to listen to something like this, please pause and come back when you're ready, because this is a really heavy video for me to even record. I've been procrastinating about it for the last couple days, and it's gonna be a process, so please bear with me while I be open and vulnerable and share my story of, you know, one of the most traumatic events to have ever happened to me in my life in 2025. So without further ado, we're gonna get right into the video. I am picking up where we left off, so if you haven't seen part 1 of my snake year, go back and watch that video so that you are caught up with everything that I'm about to say in this video. So boom, I get home from Europe. This is after me walking 10 miles a day, and I realized in my own body that I got some work that I need to be doing. Like, ain't no way that I feel this bad after only walking all day. And so I came home from my trip in Europe around April 27, 28, around that time. And then I jumped right back into the gym. I had renewed my membership at the local gym and everything. And so I was, you know, getting started, okay? So that Saturday, May 3rd, I got invited to a gala in Colorado Springs, and I had spent the entire day getting ready, getting dressed, and then I spent the entire night at the gala. So I come home around maybe 9 or 10, and it was pretty late. My nieces were already asleep. Everybody was like in their own separate spot. And my sister's dog, Sugar, she came up to me kind of frantically. But in my mind, at the time, me already being tired, me already being sleepy, I'm just assuming that she's ready to go outside. Like, she's ready to, she needs to go use the restroom before, you know, she go to bed. So I let her outside. I looked into my sister's room, and she looked like she was sleeping. I didn't want to wake her or anything like that. It was so different because normally I would go in and I would, like, even if she is asleep, I would like mess with her. But this particular night, I was just tired. So I let Sugar back in the house, and then I closed the door to her room, and I went up and I went to bed. So I wake up the next morning and I have a business meeting. One of my classmates had started working at this gym, so she set up a meeting with the gym owner so that I can like meet her and things like that. So I'm headed out the door to go to that, and as I was leaving, I'm hearing my sister's phone just ringing. Like, it's not her alarm, it's like her, like somebody's calling her. And so doing my normal check-ins, I go into her room to basically tell her that I'm finna go, and to wake her up to tell her like to answer your phone because it's ringing. And I touched my sister, and then I shook my sister, and I just left out the room, and I put the dogs outside, and I walked upstairs to wake my partner. And I literally was just like, my Nia isn't waking up. She's not waking up. And before I can even finish my sentence, my partner had jumped up out the bed and ran downstairs, and she literally jumped in like soldier mode, and started like doing all the things that she was supposed to do, and she was like, call 911. And from that moment, everything kind of seemed like a blur. Like, I just I couldn't even imagine what I was going through in the moment of when I was going through what I was going through. And like I said, y'all, excuse me for getting emotional. This is like really heavy for me because it was something that was so traumatic. Mind you, the whole time my nieces were they were in the next room. They were in the kitchen. My sister normally wakes up in the morning and makes them breakfast, and so they were sitting in the kitchen waiting on their breakfast. And so my partner told them to go upstairs to their room, and at this point I'm on the phone with 911, right? I promise you that lady sounded like she was speaking an entirely different language. I could not understand nothing that she was saying. So I had to put her on speakerphone so that my partner could hear what she was saying, because me personally, because I was so distraught, it sounded like gibberish. But they wanted us to move her from the bed to the floor, and we did. And within a couple minutes, first responders had came. They came pretty quickly, and I had stepped out the room and they was doing their checks or whatever, and I was walking back over to that direction. And I'm sure that the fireman, the first responder, I'm sure that he didn't intentionally say what he said for me to hear. I was just in such close proximity when I walked past, and he was talking to another one of his coworkers or whatever, and he was just like, "Yep, she's dead." And I just, I'm trying to get myself together. I have to go grab me some tissues because, and I heard him say that, and even though I already knew when I first touched her that morning, I just had hope that, those y'all know those videos or like those stories of people who fall into like a deep paralysis and they're actually still alive, but their heart is beating so slow that it come off and say, I was hoping maybe that was the situation. Maybe my sister was just in a deep paralysis, a temporary paralysis, and she was gonna like wake up, but deep down I knew. And even though I already knew, hearing him say that and confirm that, it just, my deepest fear that I didn't even know I really had, honestly, because I never imagined it being in my family or my sister or anything like that, had came true. My deepest fear had came true in that moment. And it wasn't even over yet. It wasn't even over. So I had to call my mom after that, and I didn't even know. When she called me, she asked if I was busy or if I was doing something important or things of that nature, and I felt like I couldn't give her the same courtesy because I didn't even know what to say. I didn't even know how to say, like, I'm still in the moment. And the first words that I could get out my mouth was, Nia has passed away. And after that, like, hearing my mama over the phone, that's also like implanted in my head, like the sound that she made, the noise that she made, the wails, the screams. I'm hearing her over the phone. It's like I can't hear her heart breaking, and I didn't want to have to be the one to tell her that news. I also didn't want to have to be the one to actually find my sister, but that is the way life had played out for it to be in that moment. And I just was so like, I just sat there on the phone, and just, eventually my dad came and he got the phone, and he was a little bit more level-headed because he didn't know what was going on. All he knew was that my mom was just like in the middle of the gas station, just screaming, just like, like in distraught, the same way I was. And so my dad gets on the phone and he asked a couple questions, and he like, I feel like he was being strong in the moment, but like nobody ever want to hear that their child is gone, literally. And so they was on a trip headed to some type of conference in another state, and they just completely rerouted everything and came to Colorado that same night. They asked me not to tell my siblings just yet because they wanted to wait or tell them it themselves, and then they told me not to tell my nieces what was going on because they wanted to wait till they got there to tell my nieces what was going on. And I just had to sit there in it, for hours. And my nieces, they not slow. They not dumb. They knew something was wrong, and they asking me questions that I can't even answer. And I normally answer all their questions, so they ask me questions that I literally can't answer at the moment because, but they asking the right questions. Literally, they asking, why is the fireman here? Why was the police here? Like, why did the ambulance come? Like, what happened to TT Nia? Is she okay? And I just was trying to hold it together. I was trying to be strong for the situation, even though it was eating away at me, literally. So after the first responders left, they was like, you have to wait on the coroner to come. It took the coroner over an hour to get there. Mind you, I had found my sister at like 9 o'clock that morning. And so by the time the first responders and all of that happened, it was around maybe 11:30-ish. And so they was like, you gotta wait on the coroner to come. And so it took the coroner over an hour to get there. And when he finally got there, he went back in the room and he did his little test and whatever he was doing. And he asked me a couple of questions. He asked me a bunch of questions, actually. He was like, well, he was asking about her issue, like her sicknesses and all the different medications that she took and all these different things. And he was like, well, since she had lupus and since she had 2 strokes and since she had all this other stuff going on with her, we just going to chalk it up as natural causes. And in that moment, I really didn't know how to advocate for like an autopsy report. Like, I didn't know how to be like, well, I want you to take an autopsy report or whatever. In my mind, I feel like he just didn't feel like dealing with the hassle of having to move her, knowing that it was a lot of issues already going on with her. He was like, yep, well, we're going to chalk it up to natural causes. And he left. And that was that. And so I'm like, okay, so what's next? The police had came and gone. The fireman had came and gone. The coroner had came and gone. Everybody was gone. And my sister was still there in the room. Like, the same place where we left her when we took her out her bed, And like all day she sat in there, she laid in there, and I really didn't have the courage to go back into the room after everything had happened. I just couldn't do it. And my partner, she was able to go back in and put some clothes on my sister because she left out this world the same way she came in, okay? In her nude. She somehow, she knew what was up, okay? My sister knew what was up. I feel like she knew that she stressed me out that day. She knew that was a day, okay? Because she had left a perfectly rolled joint in her ashtray. And I had been not smoking for the last 7 months. And I was just like, I didn't even know how to process these feelings and process these emotions. But hey, we can't let her last joint go to waste. So we put it up in the air. We put the joint up in the air in honor of my sister. Because not only was I not smoking, but my partner wasn't smoking either. And so after that, we both was like, yeah. Yeah. So that night, 7 months of sobriety and soberness and all of that had ended. And it wasn't out of just like recklessness or like, because I just didn't give a damn, excuse my language, because I didn't care anymore. But it was more so just out of like heartbreak. Like it was feelings that I never felt before, that I didn't know how to feel. And it was deep. It was deep. And I just felt like I needed something. And also, like I said, couldn't let the good blood go to waste. Cannot. So yeah. And then after that, 2 days later, we had already been planning our trip to go and be with my little sister, who has been in basic training the last month. She was in basic training from March up until May or February. I don't know. She was going to basic training, so she really couldn't talk and communicate with us as much as she would like to, as much as she normally would be. Because if anybody that's been through basic training, they can't really have their phones, and so she didn't even know. She didn't know nothing, and she didn't know. And so we all still drove down there to Texas to support her for her graduation and be there for her. And my parents had got there first, and they got there with my nieces. My brother was able to take leave and fly in from Hungary. And so, like, when me and my partner pulled up with the dogs and my sister ran outside, and she was like, my parents wanted to tell her while we was all together, so they went through her entire like ceremony the day before we even got there. And the second day when we was there, they wanted to wait till we was all together before they let her know what had happened. And my sister eyes, like, she was like, wait, because she saw the dogs, she saw Rico, and she saw Sugar, and she saw me, and she saw Kuda. She was like, wait, where's Nia? I had to go get some tissues because it was getting rough. Okay. This is why I did this video with no makeup on, and I'm in my PJs and I'm ready for bed. I did this video like this because I knew that I was gonna be crying. So I was like, what's the point of me putting makeup on if I'm gonna be wiping my face the entire video? So she was like, where's Nia? And I just broke down again immediately. Like, everybody else can hold it together enough. I can't do that. And then after not seeing my sister for months, and she not seeing us for months, and come back to one of her sisters, her oldest sister, second mama, all of our second mama, but particularly my youngest sister, second mama, just gone. And she didn't get a chance to say goodbye or hug her one more time or any of those things. So even though, like, she didn't get to do those things in that moment, she still had us. We was all there, all her family, her friends. We were all able to be there. And that weekend, while we was there celebrating my sister, we laughed, we cried, we hugged, we danced, we ate in honor of my sister. We ate, and we just had a good time. And one thing about my siblings, we don't know how to take anything seriously. Okay? We already cracking jokes the day of, because that's just how we cope. That is how we get through whatever we get through. We gonna laugh and we gonna cry, but we gonna laugh. We gonna find something to joke about. Okay? And that's why I love being around them, and I just love, like, being in the presence of my entire family all at once. But after that weekend, we had to get back to life and back to reality. So we drove back to Colorado, and once again, everybody was able to go their own separate ways to their life, their own things that they had to do in their own time. And me and Kuda, we had to go back to the house where my sister once was and no longer is. It was supposed to be cleaning up her room and trying to get, her room organized. And we tried. We really genuinely tried. And we did as much as we could. We gave away some stuff. We put some stuff out. And, like, I just got to a stopping point to where I'm like, I can't do no more. I no longer can do anymore. And everybody was like, well, just still talk to your sister, go in her room and still talk to her. And I would, but it would just break me down so bad, just being in her room. Like, I really wasn't processing what was really happening. I was just trying to make it through day by day. Like, I was still trying to be strong, and I really had to get real with myself and say, like, I just lost somebody that was so important to me, somebody who I just knew would be in my life for my entire life, because they had been in my life I've never known life without my sister. I never known. And even just like spending the last what, almost 6 years together, living with my sister, like helping her, taking her to doctor's appointments, taking her anywhere she needs to go, honestly. Just being there with her on a daily basis, every day, to her just not being there. And my sister, she's been sick a lot for the last 12 years of her life. She was in and out of the hospital. She had a couple surgeries. She was, even when we moved to Colorado, within the first month of us being here, she had a stroke. And she spent almost 2 months in the hospital. And then she came home and she couldn't walk the same or nothing like that. And even though she was still getting up and doing what she was supposed to do, as far as like trying to exercise and trying to get better and get through it, she ended up going through another stroke. And it was one of those situations where they was telling her like they don't really know what's wrong. They don't know, like they couldn't see what was actually going wrong with her. They just assuming, because of the symptoms that she was having, that she was having a stroke, even though they wasn't seeing anything on the CAT scan and stuff like that. And so she was still spending time in and out of the hospital even within the last year. And so I was like, even though I have seen my sister go through much worse and get better and get stronger and come back around, and so I still, knowing that she was sick, didn't even think that she would ever just pass away. I just didn't think that, literally. So about a week after we got back to Colorado, they decided to do her funeral, her celebration of life, in Mississippi. And so we traveled back down to Mississippi, and once again, our family from both sides of my family had came in support of my sister, and the community had came in support of my sister, and people donated to make sure that she had a really nice service and stuff like that. And I was surrounded by family again, and my friends, and just surrounded by love, people who love me. It can be distracting sometimes, a good distraction, I feel like, you know, because we smiling and we just happy to be around each other again. And I felt seen, I felt loved, I felt held in that moment. Like, I had so many good hugs. And once again, after that weekend, we packed our stuff up and we headed back to Colorado. And this time I didn't have my nieces with me anymore, and my brother had to go back to his deployment. He had to go back to Hungary, and so it was just me and my partner. After we both just went through we both went through this experience together, and it was, like I said, very traumatic on both of us. And she handled it a lot better than me. I feel like she was able to check into the military mindset of things, and also because she said she's been through some situations like this before, but me personally, I haven't, especially with nobody that's close, and my whole family haven't been with anybody, been experiencing nothing like to this degree before either. And so it was a very surreal experience, and it's still surreal to this day. Like, I'm still grieving, I still cry a lot. My sister lives with me now. She said she was always gonna live with me, but now she actually lives with me forever. So I'm gonna insert a clip of her little memorial that I made for her in my apartment. Experiencing that, right after coming from a high on our Europe trip with my siblings, and coming home to losing a sibling, like, it really just, it altered my brain chemistry. It broke my heart, a piece of my heart. And I changed forever. And I just even look at myself from January of 2025, or May 1st of 2025, and she's just a whole different girl. She's a whole different girl, and so much about me have changed since then, and realizing and understanding, like, I don't know why this happened or why she had to go this way, and I would never know the conversation that she had with God before she decided to take the ship and sail. But what I hold on to is the fact that, for one, she looked like she was peaceful when I found her. She looked like she was still asleep. That's why I was like, are you asleep or are you like, girl, what's up? But she looked like she was asleep and sleeping peacefully, not in pain, not hurting or any of that. She was sleeping peacefully. And for 2 years, I developed a deeper appreciation for life and to live to the fullest, and if my sister lives through me and she sees the things that I see, I want to go see all the places that she didn't get a chance to see in this lifetime. I want to get to experience a lot of things that she did get a chance to experience in this lifetime, so that, you know, if she living through me, at least she having fun. You know, at least she seeing the mountains and stuff like that. And since my sister passed, I've been having like so many different up close experiences with birds and stuff like that. And my sister used to always talk about when she got her wings. Like, she couldn't wait to get her wings. And since then, I've seen owls for the first time in my life. Like, never seen owls before, ever. And then a month into me moving into my new apartment, I see an owl. And it came and it flew right there by me, and it stayed there. But yeah, and so it's just been a very real, raw thing that I've been really dealing with and trying to heal through. It's a journey, and everybody's telling me, like, grief is something that you don't get over overnight. It's nothing that just, it comes and goes, and it can be 8, 9, 10 years down the line, and I still will cry every time it gets to me telling this story, because I still ask, like, why me? You know, why was I the one that had to walk in there and find her? Why was I the one that had to call and tell my mama? Why was I the one that had to hold the secret until everybody else was together? Like, why me? You know? And then on the same tip of that, it's like, because who else? Why not me? Like, my nieces, I'm glad that none of them went in there and tried to wake her up. Or, like, I'm glad I didn't walk out the door that morning and just left in a rush. And why not me? My sister used to joke a lot about, like, back when we was in Mississippi. She used to joke about when it was me and before I moved in officially, like, I would come and stay with them on a break while I was in college. But before I moved in officially, well, after I moved in officially, I would go in her room every single day. Like, I'm going in to hug her, check in on her, and, like, it was a routine. Literally, it was just second nature. And she was just like, I like having you around, because Gloria, which is my other sister, she was like, you know, she never come in here. She never come check on me. Mind you, my sister going through her own situation. She got her own issues that she working through. And, you know, sometimes you gotta hold space for yourself. And I get that. And I definitely understand it. So she was like, I could be laid up in my room dead for days, and she would never even know. And it's just like the irony. The irony that she was laid up in her room. I try to find humor in the story, okay, guys? Because I rather laugh than cry. After all of that, life still keeps going, you know? You know, after so long, people stop checking on you. People stop asking, are you okay? And they go back to living their life. And it's completely understandable. It's you know, people die all the time. People die every day, and they don't really teach people how to grieve, or what it means to grieve, or what it means to go through something like this and have community. They don't teach it, and even though people still die every single day. But I know that Now I'm able to connect with people on a deeper level. Like I can actually have empathy for people who have experienced loss instead of just sympathy, because I didn't know what they was going through, so I just feel sad for them. Like I feel bad for you, but I never experienced it, so I don't really know what to say. But since experiencing it and going through it myself, and realize that it's not really much anybody could say when you are going through loss. It's like it's nothing that you can say. It's really nothing, because it's whatever you say, it's not gonna bring my sister back. It's like you sending condolences, like I appreciate it, but it's like I didn't even know what condolences mean until I'm getting them text messages every, like, back to back to back, or like, I'm sorry for you, I'm sorry this happened to you, and all these type of things. And I know people just meaning it out the kindness of their heart, but come on now, have you ever experienced any loss for real? Like, how much does that really help? You know. But I still got up and I still kept going. I'm still going to this day. And yeah, this concludes part 2. I'm gonna stop right here. I know I only talked about 1 month for real, but I'm gonna stop right here because I know this video was really, really heavy, and I know it's probably gonna be long too. I just sat here and just pour my thoughts out about that time period, and I haven't really spoke on it publicly, or like I told like my few of my friends, or I talked about it with my family, of course. But this is like my first time really just speaking on what happened for real. So I just want to thank you all for sharing this space with me. I want to thank you for being here. And yes, this is part 2 of my snake year testimony. Part 3 is coming out soon, so please stay in tune, stay in touch. And if you haven't watched part 1, make sure that you go and you watch part 1 of my snake year testimony, because they all add together, they all make sense. Anyway, make sure that you like, comment, share, and subscribe. And let me know down in the comments, what is something that helped you with grief, or what some of the activities and the things that you would do during that time to help push you through. For me, I personally I've already been journaling, but I got this long note in my phone that like any moment where I'm feeling the feelings overwhelm me again, I would go in my phone and I would open that long note and I would add like, what am I doing right now and what has triggered me to get back into this spot. But anyway, let me know down in the comments below. Make sure you hit that post notification bell button so you know every time I'm posting a new video. I'm dropping videos every single Sunday, okay? Every single Sunday, I'm gonna do my best. The goal, okay? I did it before, I can do it again, even better. So, make sure you have those post notifications on so you know exactly when I post, because it's gonna be on Sunday, but it may not always be at the same exact time. It may be at 9 o'clock that night, it may be at 10 o'clock that night, it may be at 1 o'clock in the morning Saturday. You never know. So make sure you have those post notification bell buttons on. And it's your girl Maya Simone. Make sure that y'all keep glowing and keep growing, and I will catch y'all next week for part 3. Bye.